some nights the body lies down, but the mind keeps pacing without you. Far down in the cold, dark water, a soft creature thinks with its whole body, not its head, quietly rewriting what a mind can be. The strange part, it has no bones and no single brain, and 2/3 of its mind lives out in its 8 arms. Welcome to Psychology for Sleep. Tonight we follow that scattered mind down into the dark, toward what it might mean to set the whole weight of yourself down. You're somewhere the day's noise finally thins, held in the soft dark like a creature on the sea floor. One question drifts down with us tonight. Lying down with a mind that will not lie down with you is its own kind of tiredness, the body still. The thoughts still pacing in that small lit room behind the forehead. Beneath everything we drift through tonight rests one soft question. What would it be to think with more of yourself than your head alone? An octopus answers it with 3 hearts and a mind scattered through 8 arms. Of its roughly 500 million nerve cells, only a portion sit in its central brain. The rest live out in the body itself. It does not crowd its whole self into one fragile place. A mind, it turns out, can be spread wide and still be whole. Sometimes your hand finds the light switch in the dark before you have decided where it is. An octopus lives in that quiet competence all the time, only far more completely. Researchers studying these animals find that about 2/3 of their neurons sit not in the head, but down the length of the 8 arms. Each arm carries its own dense knot of nerve cells, a small local brain, so that it can feel, taste, and answer the seabed without waiting on the center. The body is no puppet on strings. It is a partner, and your own body, even now, knows more than you credit it with, settling into rest without being told. There is a particular split you feel some nights, a tired body, and a brain that refuses to join it on the pillow. The octopus lives the opposite arrangement, and lives it calmly, because every arm holds its own cluster of nerves. The 8 of them can search 8 crevices at once, each one tasting and choosing on its own, while the central brain attends to something else. Scientists call this distributed cognition thinking with no single throne. No commander barking orders. Nothing falls apart for lack of one. The work simply happens, gently, in many places at once. Tonight, that commander in you can step down and rest. When you finally lie down, your heart keeps its quiet work unasked, and an octopus keeps 3 of them going the same way. 2, called branchial hearts, sit beside the gills and push blood through them to gather oxygen. The 3rd, the systemic heart, takes that fresh blood and sends it out to the body. 3 slow pumps, none needing a single thought from the animal, keeping it alive while it rests on the dark floor of the sea. Your own pulse is doing exactly this for you right now. Faithful, steady, asking nothing back from you in return. Some people tire quickly in crowds and rooms and noise, and only feel right once everything goes still. The octopus carries that truth in its body. Its systemic heart actually stops beating whenever it swims. Swimming wears it out fast, so it prefers to crawl slowly across the seafloor, where the heart can keep its rhythm. The animal was built for stillness, not for racing. If you have always felt most like yourself when you slow down, you are not failing at some faster life that other people seem to manage. You are simply made, like this gentle creature, to move slowly and to rest often. Maybe you have wondered, in some quiet hour, whether what runs through you is the same as what runs through everyone else? An octopus answers no. In the most literal way it can, its blood is blue. Where our blood carries oxygen with hemoglobin, built around iron, the octopus uses a copper-based protein called hemocyanin, which turns a deep blue when it meets oxygen. It is a wholly different chemistry for the same act of staying alive. There are many ways to carry life through a body. Difference. Here is not a flaw, only another working answer to the old question of how to keep going. Some people run warm, and others stay cool to the touch. And that is simply how they are built. The octopus's blue blood is that kind of match to its world. Hemocyanin moves oxygen more steadily than our iron-based blood does in cold, low oxygen water. It lets the animal live in the chill and the dark of the deep, where our own chemistry would falter and fail. What looks strange from the outside is the very thing that lets it belong where it lives. The part of you that feels out of place in bright, loud rooms may be the same part that lets you belong somewhere quieter. A small shift in the air of a room can change everything for you. A tone of voice, a held breath, a door left open. The octopus's blue blood is sensitive in just that way. Its copper-based hemocyanin reacts to even slight changes in the acidity of the water around it, part of why these animals stay so finely tuned to their surroundings. To live in such a body is to be open to the world, to register its smallest movements. If you take in a room more finely than others seem to, that is not a weakness. It is a nervous system built to feel the world at a depth most people walk right past. Here the question starts to turn. We began by asking what it would be to think with more than the head, and already the octopus hints that a mind spread through a body is not a loss of self, but a kind of ease. The deepest sensing happens out in the arms, the blood, the skin. Maybe the mind was never meant to be the lonely overseer of everything at once. Maybe the tightness you feel some nights is only the head trying to do work the whole body was built to share. Let that thought loosen. The next stretch follows it down into the dark. The strange comfort of touching something familiar in the dark, a worn blanket edge. A smooth stone is that your fingers seem to read it for you. An octopus reads its whole world this way. Its suckers do not only grip, they taste. Each one is lined with cells that sense the chemistry of whatever it holds. So the animal tastes the seabed as it crawls. Learning a rock or a shell by touch alone. To hold something is, for an octopus, to know it. There is a gentleness in a body that meets the world by holding it softly the way your own hands are easing open now. A familiar task folding cloth. Peeling fruit can run entirely in your hands while your mind wanders somewhere else. An octopus's arms carry far more independence than that. Cut free of the body. An arm can still reach toward food and curl around it for a time, run by its own cluster of nerves. In the living animal, this lets the brain hand off the small decisions to the arms and keep only the larger shape of things for itself. The center does not micromanage to stay whole. Tonight you can pass your own small decisions down the same way, out of your head, into the quiet. Certain creatures seem to live almost without armor, and the octopus is the gentlest of them. It has no bones at all. The only hard part of its entire body is a small beak, hidden where the 8 arms meet. Everything else is muscle and skin, so yielding that an octopus the size of 2 hands can pour itself through a gap no wider than that beak. To be that soft is not to be defenseless. It is to fit, to give, to slip through narrow places no rigid body could enter. A creature that yields is not a creature that breaks. Neither are you. Lying here, finally letting go of your hardness. Somewhere inside you may live the quiet belief that to be safe, you have to stay braced. The octopus offers another way entirely, with no skeleton to shield it. Its safety comes not from hardness, but from giving, squeezing into a crevice, changing shape, vanishing rather than fighting. Its whole way of living is to yield and slip aside, never to stand rigid against the world. There is a lesson there for a body lying tense in the dark. Holding yourself stiff was never what kept you protected. You are allowed to go loose now, here, in this room. The yielding is the safer thing. When you feel exposed, some part of you wishes you could simply blend into the wall and stop being seen. An octopus does exactly that. Its skin holds millions of tiny color organs called chromatophores, sacs of pigment that muscles stretch open or pull shut, shifting the animal's color in well under a second. It melts into sand, coral, or stone almost at once, not by thinking hard, but by letting its skin answer. The wish to disappear when you are tired of being watched is an old animal wish. Tonight, in the dark, you get to have it. No one is looking, and you can let yourself quietly fade. Reading a room without anyone telling you to is something you already know how to do. The octopus's skin does a version of this on its own, beyond its eyes. The skin carries light-sensing cells, so that in a sense the animal can detect light across its whole body, not its head alone. The skin notices. The skin responds, with no order from any center. Sensing is not locked behind the eyes. It is spread over the whole living surface. Picture your own skin now, simply receiving the dark and the warmth of the bed around you, asking for nothing, only taking the gentle world in. There is a tenderness in watching something be curious for no reason but its own delight. Octopuses are full of it. In aquariums, they investigate new objects, unscrew jars, take apart whatever they are handed, and seem to explore simply for the pleasure of exploring. This curiosity is part of what makes them among the cleverest of all the animals without a backbone. Their play serves nothing. It is the mind reaching out to touch the world, because touching is its nature. You had this once, and have it still, under the tiredness, curiosity. The gentle and unhurried kind is something you get to keep. In some careful moment, you may have felt an animal truly look at you, not past you, but at you. Keepers who work with the giant Pacific octopus often describe just that the animals seem to recognize particular people, acting differently toward a familiar face than a stranger. Across the enormous distance between their kind and ours, something reaches out and registers another being. To be known, even by a creature so unlike us, is a quiet form of belonging. And you are knowable still, even at rest. Even saying nothing, a particular self the world has noticed and not forgotten. A memory can return through your hands before it returns through words, the body recalling a route, a movement, a touch. The octopus's intelligence has this whole body quality. It solves problems in ways that suggest knowing threaded through the entire animal. Not locked in a single vault. Octopuses learn mazes, remember which container held food, and carry that learning forward. Their cleverness does not sit apart from the body, it lives inside it. Your own remembering may be more bodily than you think, held in muscle and breath as much as in thought. Let the thoughts rest. Then, and trust the body to keep what truly matters. The question has quietly shifted again. We started by wondering what it would mean to spread the mind beyond the head. And the octopus keeps answering as self can be soft, scattered, woven through skin and arm and blood, and still be entirely whole. If that is true of this creature, then the loneliness of carrying everything in one tight place was never your only option. A mind is allowed to spread out and lay itself down. Notice wherever you have been holding yourself together tonight. And let that grip begin to ease the way water lets go of whatever shape you tried to give it. The relief of being somewhere you need not perform a room of your own. A door shut against the day is a real and bodily relief. Octopuses live in it always. They are mostly solitary animals, keeping their own dens and spending their lives largely in their own company, untroubled by it. For a creature alone in the vast sea, aloneness is no wound, it is simply its element. If your truest rest comes when no one needs anything from you, you share that with this quiet animal. Solitude, the kind you choose, can be its own deep form of peace. You arrange a space to feel safe, without thinking about it, the pillow just so. The door, the familiar dark. Octopuses do the same. They build dens, gathering rocks and shells to wall themselves in, sometimes carrying a favored stone from place to place to close the door behind them. A safe enclosure, made by their own arms, is part of how they survive. The pull to make one small protected place in a large world runs deep through living things, not through you alone. Your bed tonight is exactly that, a den you made. Walls of warmth, a door drawn shut against the noise. The particular ache of being bright and alone, noticing more than you can ever share, is one the octopus carries in its biology. It is among the most intelligent creatures in the sea, and it lives almost entirely by itself. Its cleverness bought it no company. It bought a rich inner life, spent mostly in solitude. There is a strange comfort in that pairing. A sensitive, watchful mind owes the world no constant connection. It is allowed long stretches of quiet, of being alone with all it notices and allowed to rest there, unbothered and unhurried, the way you are resting right now. A creature with no shell, surviving on its wits and its softness alone. Sounds fragile, and the octopus is exactly that. An unprotected gathering of life that can mostly only slip away. Yet it has thrived in every ocean for ages, precisely because it never leaned on hardness. Its defense is intelligence, flexibility, the gift of changing and yielding and vanishing. The soft, watchful, easily tired ones are not the ocean's failures. Some are its oldest survivors. If you have come this far by sensing carefully and bending when you had to, you have been doing just what this ancient creature does. You are still here, and your softness is what carried you. The day's leftover noise still flickering behind your eyes after the lights are off is a familiar thing. An octopus shows that even rest can hold a little motion without losing its calm. When octopuses sleep, they spend most of the night in what researchers call quiet sleep pale. Still, the pupils narrowed to slits, the body barely stirring. It is a deep, settled stillness, the kind a body sinks into only when it trusts at last that it is safe. That trust is what lets the stillness arrive. Let your own body believe tonight that it is safe enough to go pale and quiet and still. Have you noticed how, just as you drift off, faint images sometimes ripple through the dark behind your eyes? An octopus may do something close to that in its sleep, in a way you can almost watch from outside. In a 2021 study in the journal iScience, researchers found that sleeping octopuses cycle out of quiet sleep into a brief, vivid state they named active sleep. Colors race across the skin, the eyes and muscles twitch. The pattern looks much like the REM sleep in which we dream most. To sleep, it seems, is to keep moving inwardly while the body rests for the octopus. And perhaps for you tonight, those colors moving across a sleeping octopus's skin are the kind of stirring that happens inside rest, not against it. The question we opened is already turning. Maybe stillness was never the absence of motion, only motion that finally stopped needing you to drive it. The next stretch follows that down. A dream can pass across a sleeping face in a flicker of expression. The octopus writes its version across the whole of its skin. That active sleep state is brief, lasting only about 40 seconds. And it returns roughly every 30 to 40 minutes through the night. For less than a minute, the pale sleeper blooms into shifting color, then fades back to stillness again. The researchers wondered, gently, whether they were watching something like a dream move through, whatever it is. It asks nothing of the animal, it simply passes. Your own dreams will move through you the same way tonight, unbidden, unforced, asking nothing of you at all. Maybe you carry a worry that to rest properly you have to do it correctly, holding still in just the right way. The octopus quietly disproves it. Its sleep is not one flat state, but a rhythm, long, pale stillness. Then a short ripple of color and motion. Then stillness again turning over on its own all night. The body keeps the pattern without ever being taught. There is no right way to hold it, because the rhythm holds itself. There is no managing your sleep into the proper shape tonight. You can let it find its own rising and falling, the way the sea does, entirely by itself. It is strange that the most ordinary thing in the world falling asleep is still, even to scientists, partly a mystery. The octopus deepens the mystery beautifully. It sits on a branch of life that split from our own ancestors something like 500 million years ago. And yet it sleeps in two stages, much as we do. Sleep, it seems, was invented more than once. Separately, by creatures shaped nothing alike, whatever rest is for. It runs deep enough that life keeps arriving at it again and again. You are joining something very old tonight, something the living have done in the dark since long before us. A feeling can pass through you whole before you find any words for it. The octopus lives almost entirely in that wordless register, with its sensing spread through skin and arms. It meets the world as a wash of taste and touch and light, never as a narration. No inner voice runs the show. To picture its mind is to picture awareness with no commentary at all, pure sensing, undescribed and undisturbed, lying here. Let your own commentary thin out and the narrating voice quiet, until you are simply a body in the dark, feeling the warmth and the weight, asking for nothing more. Sometimes the way to solve a problem is to stop, to walk away, and let the answer surface on its own. Octopuses are famous problem solvers, and much of their cleverness looks like this unforced kind of figuring. Handed a closed jar with food inside, An octopus works at it with its arms until it gives. Not through frantic effort, but through patient, exploratory handling. The solution arrives through the body's quiet trying. You do not always have to think your way through by force. Some things loosen on their own the moment you stop gripping them and sleep. Tonight is one of those things. The small pride of making do, of using whatever is at hand, has a match in the sea. The coconut octopus does it so well, it startled the scientists who named it. It carries halved coconut shells across the seabed and assembles them into a shelter when one is needed. Researchers describe this as genuine tool use, carrying an object now for its usefulness later. A soft animal with no fixed home simply gathers what it finds and builds a refuge. There is a quiet competence in that. The same competence that let you build, out of ordinary things, the warm, safe place you are lying in now. A clever child takes a toy apart just to feel how it gives. Octopuses bring that impulse to whole rooms. In labs and aquariums, they are known as escape artists, slipping from tanks, working lids loose, finding the one gap no one thought to seal. Their softness and their curiosity together leave almost nothing fully closed to them. It is less restlessness than a mind that cannot help meeting the world. Even now, beneath your tiredness, that same reaching curiosity is part of you, and it, too, is allowed to settle, to stop reaching for once, to lie still and let the room quietly hold you. There is a difference between a place you pass through and a place that is yours. For an octopus, the den is deeply its own. It returns to it, guards its threshold, keeps it arranged, and rests inside it between forays into open water. The whole shape of its life bends around having one small safe place to come back to. Such a place is no luxury for this animal. It is the center of staying alive. Your bed is your den tonight, the one place that asks nothing and demands nothing, that only holds you while the larger water waits outside until the morning comes. A worry can shrink the moment you finally rest, as though rest itself dissolves it. The octopus's biology hints at why letting go matters so much. Its rich nervous system, spread through the body, senses ceaselessly, works ceaselessly, and like all such systems, it depends on rest to keep working well. Even a mind woven through arms and skin still needs its stillness. The brightest, most sensing creatures are often the ones who most require quiet. If your own mind runs full and fine and tireless by day, then this going dark, this going still, is not a weakness in you. It is the upkeep that keeps the brightness alive. You may have felt the sense of where your body ends grow soft as you drift towards sleep, the edges of you blurring into the bed. The octopus lives near that blur all the time, with no fixed skeleton. Its very shape is fluid. It keeps only a loose sense of a body that pours and spreads and reshapes itself moment by moment. It holds no rigid outline at all. As you sink now, let your own outline ease the same way. The line between your skin and the warmth around you grows vague, unimportant, allowed to dissolve a little into the dark. The body keeps its quiet machinery running while you sleep breath, pulse, warmth, with no oversight from you. The octopus runs even its thinking this way, because so much of its mind lives out in the arms. The central brain can rest from countless small decisions and trust the body to handle them. Control is shared, scattered, set down across the whole animal. Nothing depends on a single watcher holding it all together. Let yourself believe, in this drifting hour, that the watcher in you can step back too, that the body knows how to keep you, and will, all the way through the night. You are changed by where you are calmer in some rooms, tighter in others. The octopus is changed by its surroundings down to its very chemistry. Studies show that octopuses meet shifts in water temperature by quietly retuning the proteins in their nervous systems, adjusting themselves to the cold or the warmth around them. The animal does not fight its world, it reshapes itself to meet it. There is a kind of peace in that responsiveness. You, too, are allowed to be shaped by this room tonight, to let its quiet and its warmth retune you, lowering you, by slow degrees, towards sleep. On the gentlest nights, you do not so much decide to relax as allow it to happen. The octopus's deepest adjustments work just like that, not chosen, only permitted by the body. In a 2023 study in the journal Cell, researchers found that when the water cooled, an octopus's nervous system reworked itself at more than 13,000 points in its genetic instructions. It did all this only to keep running smoothly. The animal never decides it. The body simply does what it needs to settle. Your own body is doing its quieter version of the same thing now, lowering you gently, while all you do is allow it. There is a freedom in doing something without watching yourself do it. The octopus's arms have that freedom built in, because each arm carries its own dense cluster of nerves. It can reach, grip, and taste without the central brain tracking every step. The brain sets a loose intention. The arms work out the rest themselves. It is movement without surveillance. Action with no overseer counting each move. Tonight you can let the body move towards sleep without watching it, without checking whether you are doing it right. Trust the arms of yourself, as it were, to find the way down into the dark on their own. Relief sometimes comes not from adding anything, but from a system simply growing quiet. The octopus's whole design rests on quieting the center. By keeping most of its neurons out in the body, it spares its brain the impossible job of overseeing everything at once. The intelligence is real, but the load on any single part stays light. No one piece carries the whole weight. Maybe your days have left you feeling that one part of you, the thinking part, was asked to carry far too much. Let this be your permission to share that weight out into the whole resting body, and lighten the center at last. The pace in you has eased breath a little longer now. The thoughts a little farther apart. Nothing here is asking to be finished or carried. Let one more breath go, and we keep drifting down. A hand can know a familiar object in total darkness keys. A cup with no image at all. An octopus's suckers know the world that way as their ordinary mode, lined with cells that sense chemistry. The suckers taste whatever they touch. So the animal builds its picture of the seabed by feel and flavor instead of sight, in the dim depths where light grows scarce. This is how it sees. Touch becomes a kind of vision, lying here in your own dark. You can let touch become your sense too, the weight of the blanket, the warmth beneath you, enough to know you are safe without ever needing to look. You can hold two truths at once, tired and wired, calm and alert, and somehow the body contains the contradiction. The octopus's mind is built for holding many things at once. 8 arms, each able to sense and act somewhat on its own. Let the animal attend to several places in a single moment without strain. It need not collapse the world into one line of attention. Nothing insists on one thing at a time. Yet for all that capacity, it still sleeps, still goes, still in the end. Even a mind that can hold everything chooses, finally, to set the whole of it down. The most alive parts of a day are often the unhurried ones, the slow coffee, the long look out a window. The octopus moves through its world at that unhurried pace by choice, built for crawling rather than racing, tiring fast whenever it hurries. It spends most of its life slowly, feeling its way, pausing often. Speed is not its medium, attention is. To live well, for this animal, is to go slowly enough to taste everything it touches. You are moving at exactly that pace now, slow enough to feel the night settle in around you. Unhurried, with nowhere left in the world you have to be. A single touch, a hand resting on your shoulder, can say more than a paragraph ever could. Octopuses live in a world made largely of such touches. Lacking voices, they read and answer one another mostly through contact, color, and movement, speaking through the body rather than through sound. Meaning, for them, is physical. There is an honesty in that, a directness our words so often lose. As you settle, you can let the day's words fall away and return to that older language, the plain physical facts of warmth, weight, and breath, which need no translating and ask nothing of you in return. The comfort of a rhythm you can count on the tide of breath. The turn of seasons runs under everything. The octopus's life is shaped by one great rhythm. Above all, it grows fast, lives intensely, and not for very long. Most octopuses live only a year or two. A few species somewhat more. Their brilliance burns in a short season. And yet within that brief life they sense, explore, build, and rest as fully as any creature in the sea. A life need not be long to be complete. Tonight is one quiet turn in your own rhythm, and it is enough simply to rest inside it. The question has turned once more, and you can feel where it leans. We began by asking what it would be to think with the whole body, and the answer is becoming gentler than any fact about octopuses. A mind spread through a soft, sensing body, living slowly and resting deeply, is not a lesser mind. It may well be the freer one. The tightness of keeping everything gathered in one anxious place was never the price of being bright. You are allowed to be both clear-minded and unburdened. Let that possibility settle into you now, as the second half of the night leans further and further down. There is a strange grief in a body that works against itself, staying awake when it longs only to sleep. The octopus carries a built-in version of that in how its life ends, and it is worth meeting gently. When a female octopus lays her eggs, a small gland between her eyes, the optic gland, sends signals that turn her wholly toward guarding them. She stops eating and tends the clutch until it hatches. Her whole self narrows to that one devotion. It is a fierce and total kind of care. It asks us, softly, what we might give ourselves to so completely though tonight. You give yourself only to rest. Love can look, from the outside, like letting go of everything else. The mother octopus's devotion is the deepest example the sea has to offer. Guarding her eggs, she fans them with fresh water, cleans them, and never leaves. In the doing, she slowly fades, so that by the time her young hatch, she is at the very end of her own life. Scientists trace this to the signals of that small optic gland. It is care carried all the way to its furthest edge. Nothing tonight asks you to give like that. There is only the quiet invitation to be cared for instead by the dark, by the warmth, by rest. You just heard of a creature who gave herself so completely there was nothing left at the end, and something in you may know that pull, the cost of caring past your own edge. Notice where you have been holding that tonight, and let it be set down rather than carried further. The deeper half leans in from here. Researchers once believed certain abilities belonged only to a few special creatures, and how often that turns out to be wrong. The octopus keeps widening the circle. Scientists used to think two distinct stages of sleep, quiet and active. The second, resembling our dreaming, belonged mainly to mammals and birds. Then they found that same two-stage rhythm in the octopus, a creature on a wholly separate branch of life. Whatever sleep is for, it is no private property of a chosen few. It belongs to far more of the living world than anyone knew. You join that wide, old company tonight, countless creatures across the whole tree of life, going quietly under. A single small organ can steer the course of an entire life. In the octopus, scientists showed this directly. In 1977, a researcher removed the optic gland from brooding females, and the change was complete. The animals stopped wasting away, began eating again, and went on living far longer than they otherwise would. One small gland had been steering the whole ending. It is a reminder of how much of what we feel is driven by quiet inner signals, below any choosing of ours. Your own drift toward sleep right now is one of those, a deep signal rising on its own, carrying you down, asking nothing of your will. The patience of waiting a long time for something to grow, a plant, a healing, a child, is hard won. The deep-sea octopus knows a patience almost past imagining. Off the coast of California, researchers once watched one guard her clutch of eggs for about 4.5 years, never leaving, never eating, only waiting and tending in the cold dark until they were ready. It is the longest such watch ever recorded. Some things cannot be hurried, they can only be kept. Nothing tonight asks that of you. You may simply let yourself be kept, the way she kept her small ones, safe in the dark. The cold and quiet of certain places slow everything to a gentler speed. In the deep sea, the octopus's life slows the same way. Down where it is cold and dark and still, these animals move and age and live more slowly. Their long vigils stretching across years, impossible in the warm shallows. The deep does not rush its creatures. It holds them in a slower kind of time. As you sink toward sleep, you are entering your own deep, a slower place, where the fast clock of the day cannot reach. And there is all the time in the world simply to rest. To be understood without explaining yourself is one of the oldest comforts there is. Octopuses, in their wordless way, seem to reach toward it. They respond to individual people, learn the habits of those who tend them, and shift their behavior to suit who is near. Across an enormous gulf between our two kinds, some recognition passes anyway, to be known by another mind, even briefly, even in silence, steadies something deep in a creature. You need not earn it or explain for it. Even now, at rest and saying nothing, you remain a particular known self, and that knownness can hold you while you sleep. A feeling can move through a crowd, or a calm settle over a room, without a single word spoken. The octopus's skin does that silent speaking all the time. Its rippling colors and shifting textures are a language of sorts, signaling, hiding, expressing, written straight onto the body for anyone near to read. Its inner state shows on its surface, nothing held back. There is a strange relief in imagining a self with no gap between inside and out. Tonight, your inside and outside can come quietly into line, so the calm you reach for and the stillness of your body become, at last, one thing. Maybe your richest experiences happen somewhere words can never quite follow. The octopus lives entirely in that wordless richness. Its world is taste and touch and color and current. One continuous wash of sensation with no story narrating it. Researchers can only guess what such an experience feels like from inside a mind made of pure feeling, undescribed. As you drift now, you can slip toward that same wordless place yourself. There is no narrating there, no explaining. Only the plain and direct fact of being a warm body in a dark and quiet room, with nothing it needs to put into words. Sometimes the smartest thing is to do nothing at all, to wait, to watch, to let a thing resolve itself. Octopuses are remarkably good at that restraint. A hunting octopus will hold still for long stretches, its color matched to its surroundings, waiting for the right moment rather than chasing. Its intelligence shows as much in stillness as in motion. Patience is part of its cleverness. There is permission in that for you tonight, that doing nothing, lying perfectly still and simply waiting for sleep, is not idleness. It is its own kind of wisdom, the very wisdom this soft creature uses to live. The mind has a strange devotion to a single unanswered question, turning it over long after you meant to stop. The octopus offers a gentler way of holding mystery. So much about it stays unknown, how it experiences its scattered mind, whether it truly dreams, what its colors mean to itself, and science simply leaves these open, content to wonder. Not every question has to close tonight. You are allowed to let the day's open questions stay open, set down on the floor of the dark, while you go to sleep above them, untroubled that they are not yet solved. The body remembers a skill long after the mind forgets ever learning it: how to swim, how to ride. The octopus's whole intelligence has that embodied quality. What it knows. It knows through having touched, tasted, and handled the world. The learning woven into the body that did it. There is no clean line between its thinking and its living. Knowledge, for an octopus, is something the body holds. Perhaps much of your own deepest knowing is held that way too, in how your shoulders ease, in how your breath has already learned to slow. Trust that bodily knowing to carry you down now. The comfort of a creature that simply accepts you near it, a cat that settles, a dog that leans, is a real one. Octopuses, solitary as they are, can grow used to a gentle, regular presence, coming to tolerate and even seem to welcome a familiar keeper. For an animal that lives alone, this small, reaching toward another, touches us precisely because it is not needed. Connection that is chosen, never required, has a sweetness all its own. Tonight you are alone in the best of senses, needed by no one, unhurried, free to belong only to your own rest, which is its own quiet company. The most ordinary parts of you, your hands, your breath, turn quietly, remarkable the moment you stop to notice them. The octopus's arms are like that, each one a marvel of muscle and nerve. able to bend in any direction at any point, with no joints to limit it. An octopus arm can curl, twist, reach, and grip in ways no jointed limb can manage. Guided by its own small intelligence, it is a limb of almost endless freedom. Your own limbs, heavy now and at rest, carry their own quiet wonder. Let them lie still, and let that be enough. Their reaching is done for the day. Grief or care can take everything out of you, until you are running on almost nothing left. The octopus's whole reproductive ending is the starkest picture of that. The signals turning the mother toward her eggs also shut down her drive to eat, sending all her energy to the next generation until her own reserves are gone. It is care so complete it consumes the one who gives it. Nothing tonight asks that of you. If you have been giving from an emptying store, let the dark refill you instead. Let rest be the thing that pours back in, asking nothing, simply returning what the long day took. Scientists keep finding the line between us and other animals thinner than we believed. The octopus has quietly erased one such line after another, distantly related to us, built on a wholly different plan. It still solves problems, remembers, plays, and sleeps in stages much like ours. The very capacities we thought made us special turn out to be shared, arrived at separately, by a creature in the sea. There is a deep belonging in that, to be part of a living world that keeps inventing mind and rest and care. Over and over. You are one more instance of it, going to sleep among countless others tonight. There is relief in a problem with many answers, not one right solution you might have missed. The octopus's whole existence is built on it. Where our ancestors carried oxygen with iron and gathered their minds around one central brain, the octopus chose copper blood, and a mind spread through its arms different answers, equally alive. There was never only one way to be a thinking, breathing creature. If you have feared there is one correct way to live, or to rest, or to be, the octopus gently disagrees. There are many. Yours is allowed to look like this: quiet, soft, lying still in the dark. In deep rest, you stop defending yourself. The guard simply drops. The octopus, with no shell and no bones, lives close to that unguarded state and survives anyway. Its safety was never in armor, but in giving in, fitting into a crevice. In trusting the den, to be unguarded is not. For this creature, to be in danger, it is only its way of being alive. Lying here, let your own guard fully drop the bracing in your back, the readiness in your limbs. Trust. The way the octopus trusts its small, dark shelter, that here, now, nothing is being asked of you. A single quiet creature can hold your whole attention until the rest of the world falls away. Octopuses have this effect on the people who study them. Researchers speak of being drawn in, of long hours simply watching, of a sense of meeting another awareness across the glass. Something in this soft, color-shifting, many-minded animal pulls the watcher into stillness. To be absorbed like that, held fully by one gentle thing, is itself a kind of rest. Let the image of this slow sea creature hold your attention now, soft and unhurried, until everything else loosens its grip and drifts quietly away. The body keeps adapting all your life, quietly, with no announcement, healing, adjusting, learning. The octopus does this at a depth few creatures reach. rewriting the working instructions of its own nervous system to meet a changing sea. It does not wait for slow generations to adapt. It retunes itself within its own lifetime, inside its own body, as conditions shift around it. Such constant, quiet self-adjustment is the mark of a deeply responsive life. Your own body is adjusting right now, slowing, cooling, easing towards sleep, adapting moment by moment to the dark, with a wisdom that needs no oversight from you at all. The piece of water holding your weight a bath. The sea, a still lake, lets you stop holding yourself. The octopus lives always inside that held state. The water around it supports its boneless body completely, so it never has to hold itself up or brace against gravity the way we do. It is carried. Always. Picture the bed beneath you as that same holding water tonight, taking your full weight, asking your muscles to support nothing, letting you float in place. You can stop holding yourself up now. Something steady and patient has you, and will not let you fall. The wisest answer to a vast unknown is sometimes plain wonder rather than fear. The deep sea, where many octopuses live, is among the largest unexplored places left on Earth. Its creatures meet that darkness not with panic but with quiet competence, sensing their way, building small refuges, living out their lives in the immense dark. They are at home in the unknown. There is a model in that, for the dark you are entering now, the wide unknown of sleep, of dreams, of the hours ahead. You can meet it the way the octopus meets the deep softly, trustingly, already at home. The things that make you unusual are often the very things people remember you by. The octopus is nothing but a gathering of such oddities: 3 hearts, blue blood, a mind in its arms, a skin that changes color. Every one of them is exactly what lets it live as it does. None of its strangeness is a mistake. Each odd trait is an answer that worked. Whatever in you has felt too unusual, too much, too different, maybe, like the octopus's blue blood, the precise thing that lets you survive where you are. Rest tonight as you are, strangeness and all. The end of a long day can feel like a small completion, a quiet rounding off. The octopus's whole short life has that quality of wholeness despite its brevity. It does not live long, yet it lives fully sensing, building, exploring, caring, and then it is done. Its purpose met. There is a completeness available, even in something small and brief. This single night is its own small whole, beginning in the day's noise and rounding now towards stillness. You do not need it to be more than it is. Let it complete itself gently, the way the octopus's life completes itself, lacking nothing at the end. For years you may have believed that to be safe, or whole, you had to keep everything gathered tightly in one place and watched without rest. Here is what this slow creature has shown. Piece by piece, a mind was never meant to be the lonely overseer of the whole self. The octopus thinks with its arms, senses with its skin, lets its body run itself, and is no less whole for any of it. You were never the one who had to hold yourself together from a single anxious point. You can set the rope down. The whole soft body of you knows how to keep you. A held breath, finally released, changes the whole body at once. The octopus's existence is a long argument for that kind of release, for the giving over the rigid, the spread out over the gathered, the yielding over the braced. Everything about it, says that to ease and to let go is not to fall apart, but to be. In fact, well made. The relief you feel when you finally stop gripping is not a lapse in you. It is the body returning to its truer shape. Let the breath you have been holding go now. And let your whole self return, like the octopus, to its softness. On the best nights, sleep arrives not because you summoned it, but because you finally stopped trying. The octopus's deepest workings all run that way unsummoned. Self-keeping. Its heart's beat. Its skin senses. Its arms decide. Its sleep cycles turn. None of it asking the animal to oversee or command. The most essential things simply happen on their own. Your own sleep is exactly such a thing, gathering at the edges of you now without any effort of yours. You have nothing to reach for and nothing to earn. It is already coming. The way the octopus's stillness comes quietly, certainly, all by itself. A worry shrinks to nothing the moment sleep finally takes you. The body simply outlasts the mind's fretting. The octopus shows that the body's quiet processes run deeper than any single state of mind. Beneath its sensing and its sleeping, its biology holds its own steady course, indifferent to fuss, faithful to the work of keeping the animal alive. Your body holds that same deep faithfulness in it. Whatever the mind was turning over tonight, the body beneath it is steadily, quietly carrying you down toward rest, as it always has, through every night you can remember, and as it will again now. The most spread out things, light, water, breath, are also the calmest things there are. The octopus, its mind scattered through the whole soft body, lives close to that calm. Nothing in it clenches into a single tight point. Its awareness pours through 8 arms and a sensing skin, unhurried, present everywhere and gripped nowhere at all. That spread-out quality is its peace. Lying here now, let your own awareness spread the same way, not held tight behind your eyes, but poured gently through the whole resting body, present everywhere, clenched nowhere, easy as water in the dark. The octopus keeps itself with no overseer hearts, skin, arms, all running unwatched. Something is gathering toward one quiet idea that you were never the one holding yourself together. You can let the rope go. What we have been circling is close now. The kindness of being allowed to simply be, without performing, is rare in a day. The octopus asks nothing of itself but to be what it is: soft, slow, solitary, strange, and rests easy in that. The same rest is waiting for you. You are not asked to be anything other than what you are right now, here, breathing, a quiet weight sinking deeper into the bed. Nothing in this room wants more from you than that. Stillness, once it truly comes, feels less like effort than like reaching a place you already knew. The octopus sinks into its pale sleep that way, lowering into a quiet its whole body trusts. The stillness is not held in place, it is simply lived in, the way you live in a room you have known for years. Let your own stillness become that now, not kept by force, but arrived at and rested inside. There is nowhere else to get to. The relief of no longer having to decide anything runs deep. Asleep on the seafloor, the octopus has handed every choice back to its body. Nothing in it is deciding now, it only rests, carried by something far older than choice. Hand your own deciding back the same way. Nothing is left to weigh or settle before morning, only the plain fact of lying here in the warm dark. Every choice of the day behind you, each one free to wait. Deep water is not empty, but full of slow life, of quiet motion, of gentle unseen presence. The dark around you is that kind of water, not a void, but a warm fullness, cradling you the way the sea cradles the octopus on its floor. You are not alone inside it. You are surrounded, on every side, by something patient and kind. Let it close softly over you, the way the deep closes over a creature settling down to rest. A creature carried by warm water braces against nothing. That is your body now holding nothing up, keeping nothing aloft. Like the octopus born by the sea, you are carried by the bed and the late hour. Let every muscle learn that its work is finished for the day. Finished and forgiven. The shoulders drop. The jaw loosens. The hands lie open and empty. Whatever they were carrying, they have set down, and the quiet has taken it gently from them. The octopus changes color not by trying, but by letting its skin answer the world. Let your face and jaw and shoulders answer this dark the same way, unarranged, held in no expression, only easing into whatever shape rest gives them. Nothing here needs composing. Your surface can grow quiet now, the small tensions melting one by one from your forehead, your eyes, the corners of your mouth, until you fade from the day's bright color into a gentle pale. The deepest rest comes when even the watching mind lies down beside the body. In sleep, the octopus's scattered awareness stops its overseeing and drifts where the currents go. Let the watcher in you drift to the part that has been checking, tracking, keeping the long account. It may close its eyes now with the rest of you. Nothing is left for it to guard. The night will carry whatever needs carrying. Its only task now is to grow quiet. Picture the octopus's slow crawl across the seafloor, patient, unhurried, with nowhere it has to be. Your night has taken that shape easy, slow, with nothing to chase and nowhere to reach. You are moving into sleep at the pace of a soft creature in the deep, taking all the time there is. No clock waits for you here. Each breath may come a little slower than the last. And that slowness is not falling behind. It is exactly where you belong. A held thing, once set down, leaves the hands lighter than before. Set down now whatever your hands carried through the whole of this day. Let them open against the bed, soft and empty, the way an octopus's arms uncurl as it slips towards sleep. Nothing is left for them to grip or keep safe. The weight is off them. Feel how light they grow, lying open in the quiet, asked to do nothing now but rest there, palm up, completely undone. Alone in its den, the octopus rests untroubled by its solitude, at ease in its own small dark. You are in your own den now, warmth around you. The door drawn shut against the day, and it's asking. Aloneness here is not lack. Here it is safety. The safety of a place that wants nothing from you. Rest in it the way the octopus rests beneath its stone gladly. Completely alone. No one needs finding tonight. No one needs answering. The quiet that comes when the body finally outvotes the tired mind is a mercy. Your body has nearly cast that vote heavier, slower, sinking by degrees into the bed, like the octopus going pale and motionless below. You are letting the body have the last word. Let it carry the vote, and carry you past the day's last noise. The mind can follow where the body leads, It need not go first, or find the way. It has only to follow the heavy body down. The tide comes in unasked, rising slow and sure against the shore. Sleep is gathering in you the same way, climbing quietly at your edges with no pull from you at all. There is no drawing it in, no hurrying it along. Lie still in the shallows and let it reach you. The way the sea reaches the resting creature on its floor and folds gently over it. It is already near. Each slow breath lets a little more of it in, until it has covered you over. Warmth spreads through a resting body until your very edges blur. Let it move through you now, out from the chest, down the arms, into the open hands, all the way to the feet. Soon you cannot tell where you end and the dark begins. Like the boneless octopus pouring itself into the shape of the water, you have no firm edge left to keep tonight. Let the outline of you go gentle and uncertain, dissolving by degrees into the warmth until no line is left. The octopus needs no posture and no holding, only the water's quiet support beneath it. You need none either. Whatever shape you have fallen into is already the right one. There is no correct way to lie, no arrangement to keep up through the night. The bed has all of you, the way the sea has the creature on its floor. Let it take your weight without your help. Nothing is left for you to keep in place, not your limbs, not your breath, not the long day. The gentlest creatures are often the ones that endure the longest. You have endured by sensing carefully and bending when you had to. The way the octopus has endured in the oceans for ages. That softness in you was never weakness. Whatever you were once told, it is the thing that carried you all the way here, to this safe, quiet place. Still whole. Let it carry you the last short stretch now, across the shallow water between waking and sleep. You are nearly there. Breath, left alone, finds its own slow rhythm with no help from you. Yours is finding it now longer, quieter, more space opening between one and the next, like the slow, faithful pulse of the octopus's 3 hearts in the deep. Your body keeps its rhythm with no instruction from your mind. Let the breath go where it wants. It has done this every night of your life and knows the way down better than you do. Stop steering it and let it carry you under. The deep sea holds an immense, peaceful, dark, vast beyond seeing and utterly calm. You are entering your own version of it now, wide, quiet, untroubled, with no edges to find. There is nothing to fear in it, nothing waiting, only depth and stillness and the slow promise of rest. Sink into it gently, the way a soft creature settles toward the calm floor of the sea, lower with each breath. The further you go, the quieter it grows. Down here there is only sleep. The octopus's body asks almost nothing of its mind in rest. Yours asks almost nothing of you now, not to plan, not to solve, not to hold anything together until morning. It asks only that you stay here, breathing, warm, allowed to be exactly where you are. Give it that small thing, your stillness, your weight, your willingness to do nothing, and it will quietly manage the rest. The body knows how to fall asleep. It was only waiting for the mind to step aside. There is a moment when thoughts stop forming into words and become soft shapes drifting by. You are near it now, closer with each breath. Let the words thin and scatter. The way the octopus's wordless mind lives, always pure sensation. Nothing named, nothing explained. Nothing is left to say to yourself tonight. No last thought to think through before you go. The talking can stop. Let the quiet take the place the words once held, and let the soft shapes drift past, faint and fading. The octopus's colors fade to a calm, even pale as it sinks into sleep. Let your own held tensions fade like that the color of the long day draining gently from your face. Your hands, the tight places in your chest, soon only a soft, even stillness is left. It is the way the last bright pattern drains from a sleeping octopus's skin, leaving it quiet and pale on the floor of the sea. So little is left to release now. Let the last of it go. Being fully held is what finally lets you stop. You are held now by the bed beneath you, the dark around you, the warmth of this late, kind hour. Like the egg the deep-sea mother guards through years of patient dark, you are kept tonight, watched over, entirely safe. You can stop now, completely, the way you have wanted to all day. Something steady is keeping you, and will keep you until morning. The long work of keeping yourself is over. Let yourself be the one who is kept. A mind spread gently through the whole body has nowhere tight left for an ache to gather. Yours is spread that way, now drifted from its small lit room, eased evenly through your resting arms and chest and legs. No clenched place is left in you for worry to hold. No narrow corner where the day can lodge. It has all eased out, soft and even, into the wide quiet of sleep. There is no single point of holding anywhere in you, only calm, settling deeper. By now you may feel you are no longer waiting for sleep but already half inside it. You are, like the octopus slipping from quiet stillness into the soft drift of dreaming. You are crossing over, gently, with no effort, with no clear edge where waking ends. Let yourself cross. Nothing waits on the far side but rest. The deep and the dark and the long, kind hours of it. You need not catch the moment you go under. Only keep drifting and let the crossing happen. The last thing to leave is the sense that there is still something you ought to be doing. Let even that go now. The way the octopus lets the current carry it. Nothing is left to do tonight. Nothing to keep or finish or fix before you sleep. Like the soft creature resting in the dark sea, you are simply here breathing, kept, dissolving into the quiet around you. The day is done and asks no more of you. Let the last duty loosen and follow it down. You were never meant to gather yourself into one tight place to be whole. You were always whole, spread wide through this gentle body, kept safe in the dark, asking nothing. Tonight you may be only a mind at rest in a body at peace, scattered like light through still water, and held. No overseer is left awake in you now, no part left to keep the rest together. Let yourself be held. You are already home, and were home the whole time. Sleep now, and be kept. Picture the soft creature settling onto the dark floor of the sea, its colors fading to a calm pale, asking nothing. Let that same quiet move through you, every held thing settling slowly to the bottom and going still. There was never a tight place you had to keep. You were never meant to hold all of yourself in one small, watched place. The mind that paced the room tonight was only doing the work the whole body was built to share, and the body has known, all along, how to keep you. A creature with no bones and no single throne has lived in the deep for ages by spreading itself wide, yielding, trusting the dark. You are made a little like that, the softness that tires in bright rooms, that takes in more than it can hold. It was never the flaw. It is the thing that carried you here. Still whole. There is nothing left to gather, nothing to brace. You can be. Tonight. A mind at rest in a body at peace, scattered like light through still water, and kept. If some part of you wants to follow this further toward the rest of what the deep still holds quietly unanswered, the next videos are waiting in the description below, whenever you are ready for them. You can let these thoughts fade now like color draining slowly from a sleeping creature's skin, until only a soft, pale stillness is left. Let your body grow heavy and unguarded, the way a soft creature rests when the water holds all its weight. Spread wide and kept in the dark, asking nothing, that is where sleep takes you now. If your eyes have already closed, there is nothing left tonight worth opening them for. Rest well. Gentle soul. You were always whole. There was never a tight place you had to hold yourself into, where the science of the deep becomes the softest place to rest. Good night.